the J contour integral in the treatment by the scientist, physicist, engineer Rice was treated as a non-linear elastic material. The basis for extending fracture mechanics methodology well beyond the validity limits of LEFM, right? LEFM, remember, with a small plasticity corrections is there, but well beyond the limits of LEFM with significant plasticity. So this is the idealization. We will show you figure 3.7. Uniaxial stress strain behavior of elastic plastic and non-linear elastic materials. The loading behavior is identical. As I told you, the material responses differ when each is unloaded. The elastic plastic material follows a linear unloading path with slope equal to Young's modulus, right? The straight line parallel, and the non-linear elastic material unloads along the same path as it was loaded. So this is it, right? A stress strain diagram. So from here till the end, wherever it is some Serres plasticity, right? Here elasticity has ended, it is some Serres plasticity. So when you are in this point, now the loading is the same for the two theories. The two theories are elastic plastic and non-linear elastic. So loading, you go to elastic and then you go to plastic. Once you are there, when you want to unload, then in the actual elastic plastic you unload along this line, which is parallel to the initial line. But assuming that it was linear, non-linear elastic, you unload on the same. So the final deformation is still zero, right? So of course this is an approximation. This is not the real behavior, but doing this will make the math and the physics easier. And if after doing this, whatever results we get are close to experimental values and so on, then this assumption is okay. This is how all science goes, that whenever we want to formalize something, whenever we want to develop a mathematical model of a physical situation, we develop a model making some simplifications, some assumptions. If those assumptions are valid, good. If in the end, by getting the model, we don't get very close results to experimental, then we change the model, right? So non-linear elastic material. There is a unique relationship between a stress and a strain in the elastic material, of course. Elastic material, sigma is equal to E epsilon, unique. But a given strain in an elastic plastic material can correspond to more than one stress values if the material is unloaded or cyclically loaded. Do you understand that now it has reached the plastic region, elastic plastic region. So now are you unloading in this line or you unloading on the same line, right? So there is an issue. It is much easier to analyze an elastic material than a material that exhibits irreversible plasticity. When you go to this curve and when you come back on this line, not on the same line, then it is irreversible plasticity, right? There is plasticity which is permanently there. If you go back on the same curve, then it is reversible. So it is much easier if it is reversible. Analysis that assumes non-linear elastic behavior may be valid for an elastic plastic material provided no unloading occurs, right? So this is very, very critical. You see, the loading curve is the same, right? When you apply the load, you go in the elastic, then you go in the plastic. So the loading is exactly the same until you reach this point. So if you don't remove the load and if you don't try to find out what is the permanent plastic strain and so on, then this is okay. Then there is no issue, right? So therefore, if we assume that there is non-linear elastic behavior, then as long as we are considering only the loading part of the curve, mathematically, physically, there is no issue, right? Deformation theory of plasticity. Deformation theory of plasticity relates total strains to stresses in a material. It is equivalent to non-linear elasticity, right? We just told you that Rice assumed non-linear elastic material. So deformation theory of plasticity is a theory that explains plasticity in a manner similar to this. Rice applied deformation plasticity to analysis of a crack in a non-linear material. The non-linear energy release rate could be written as a path-independent line integral. This is now math. You remember integral, and integral over a line is a line integral. Path independent, that whether I go from here, whether I go from some other place, the total integral over the line is the same. So then it is called path independent. Hutchinson, Rice and Rosengren, HRR. So initially it was started by Rice, and when the theory started to develop, then Hutchinson and Rosengren also jumped in. So now we say HRR treatment. They also showed that J, this integral, J integral, uniquely characterizes crack tip stresses and strains in nonlinear materials. They proved it. So this is a big, huge thing. They first defined it that we can have non-linear energy release rate. Energy release rate, remember, is capital G, energy release rate. But for plasticity, for significant plasticity, so now it is non-linear energy release rate. This non-linear energy release rate can be written as a J integral. And this J integral, they have proved that this uniquely characterizes the crack tip stresses and strains in nonlinear materials. So if you can define this J integral, then you have done a very good treatment for fracture mechanics when significant plasticity is there. The J integral can be viewed as both an energy parameter and a stress intensity parameter. So this is also very, very interesting. Earlier you have K1 as the stress intensity parameter and G as the energy parameter, separate. But they will show very soon or discuss it that the J integral can be treated from an energy viewpoint and from a stress intensity viewpoint both. So therefore again this is very, very interesting. That is why in the beginning of J integral we said that it is now a very popular measure used by scientists and so on, materials engineers who are in the fracture mechanics area, because of so many nice things about it. I am taking these notes from some other source. The J integral represents a way to calculate the strain energy release rate or the work energy per unit fracture surface area in a material, right? The same thing, energy release rate, capital G. So J integral, a way to calculate this. The theoretical concept of J integral was developed in 1967 by Sherepanov and in 1968 by Jim Rice independently. But we say that it was Rice because later on they developed it much more. They showed that an energetic contour path integral called J was independent of the path around a crack. So if you see it now, that you see we are trying to find J integral here. So we take this path, we take a rectangular path, we take other parallel type of path, whatever path we take, then this integral will be the same. So then it is called path independent integral, right? So later experimental methods were developed. It allowed measurement of the critical fracture properties using laboratory scale specimens for materials in which sample sizes are too small and for which the assumptions of linear elastic fracture mechanics do not hold. Could find out a critical value of the fracture energy if J is there. J1 of course in mode 1 loading. So J1 is there, J1C can be found. So J1C will be fracture toughness of the material in the nonlinear thing. So J1C defines the point at which large scale plastic yielding during propagation takes place under mode 1 loading. So we are trying to just in this page we are recapping what we already introduced in the previous page. So here I am showing you again from another place that you are taking the integral, right? So whatever path you see, you take path 1, you take path 2, you take a path like this, you go there and you come back. So whatever way, it is path independent, paths for J integral calculation around a notch in a two-dimensional elastic plastic material, right? So we are taking a 2D view, the third dimension, the thickness, we are not taking it, is just the front 2D view. But what is important is that the way this integral is defined, the path around the crack is not important. Whichever path you take, it is a path independent integral, right? It is a path independent integral, and irrespective of the path that you choose, it will give you the same result. Don't get worried about too much. Of course you have done linear algebra, of course you have done differential integral calculus, of course you have done even differential equations and so on. So you have a very good mathematical background. So if we even wanted to go inside the details of the derivations, it would not be a big issue. You are well prepared for it. But as I have been doing throughout the course, I am trying to just explain the basics so that you know where it came from. But then we go directly to the mechanics or the physics of the problem and how it is applied and what are the final equations rather than how they were derived. So therefore now, because it is dependent on the non-linear energy release rate, the energy release rate, capital G, in LEFM was a linear thing, right? Because linear elastic fracture mechanics was there. Now there is a lot of plasticity at the crack tip, not small. Okay. So Rice started the path independent contour integral for analysis of cracks, then showed that the value of this integral J is equal to the energy release rate in a non-linear elastic body that contains a crack, right? He defined that and then he showed that this thing exactly defines what we want to find out, the energy release rate in a non-linear elastic body that contains a crack. Now energy release rate, same definition holds for non-linear elastic materials as for linear materials, except that G is replaced by J. So right here we could write G, we are writing J, and it is just the differential of the potential energy with respect to the surface area of the crack. Remember that G was exactly defined like this, that G is the change in the potential energy as the crack grows with respect to the crack area. So A is the area, right? So this capital pi, remember a small pi is there, this is capital pi. Pi is potential energy and A is the crack area. So this is the same definition. The minus sign always means that, right, that if the crack grows, then the material releases the energy, isn't it? The material releases the energy. You work on the material, you provide energy, it is plus. When the energy is released, it is minus. When the energy is released, it is minus. So G was there for linear elastic, now J is there, but the definition is the same, that it is the potential difference with respect to the crack area. Now once that definition is the same, we are calling it J rather than G. The potential energy is given by U minus F. U is the strain energy stored in the body and F is the work done by the external forces, right? You are trying to work on the body to extend the crack. By doing this, you are increasing the stored internal energy, right? So this capital is the strain energy stored in the body, and this F in this equation is the work done by the external force. We will show you figure 3.8 on the next page, but I am just showing you the specimen here of the figure 3.8. So there is a crack plate with non-linear load displacement curve. If the plate has a unit thickness, remember the thickness of the, now the area of the crack is A multiplied by the thickness. So if the thickness is unity, then the area is this a small a into 1. So the total area becomes a small a. For load control, this potential energy is defined as U minus P delta or minus U star, right? U, remember, is the energy that we define, P is the load, delta is the displacement, so force into displacement is the work done. So this U star is called complementary strain energy, and it is defined simply like this, integral from 0 to P delta dP, right? Delta dP is the force into displacement, the work done, and if it is load control, then from 0 to load P. And if it is this, then J is defined like this. So this is the definition of J in load control, du dA P, where U is this thing. U is this thing, it is du d. So it is the same definition, but we have just modified it a little, and this is for load control. And then we will define it for displacement control also. But for now, that you start with the potential energy definition, and then you define this integral, and then this is du dA in load control, right? So this is formally the J integral defined.